rappers and music producers, specifically music producers. Right now, I am joined by a special guest. Many of you, I'm sure, recognize this individual. You're talking about a very powerful voice within just producer community in general. You're talking about somebody who has provided countless information that I myself have gotten a lot of very how can I put it, very informative, very inspirational, really right straight to the face. Let me make sure everybody's up here in the chat right now. Okay, cool, we're live. Okay. But yeah, DJ Pain One, thank you once again for joining me today, man. Obviously, we have a lot to discuss, specifically dealing with this genius type beats producer conversation going on. Let me acknowledge some people in the chat first. Young Chambers, what's going on? Elton, Little D Beats, A White Music, Mr. J Beats. What else are we looking at? Dollar Sign, Young DQ, Ben Joe, okay? Kamel, appreciate you. Yes, all right, producer community, we in here. So DJ Pain One, first and foremost, for those who've been sleeping under a rock, please let these folks know about who you are, what is it that you represent, and you know, your contribution to this community. I obviously know about this, but for those who are under a rock, could you please let them know who you are?
Hopefully, I try to represent the best interests of the producer community. You know, we're always going to have our differences of opinion, and our processes are going to vary from person to person. But I've been making beats for a long time. I've been fortunate to have a career in music production that's lasted over 10 years. So my first major placement was Young Jeezy, Don't Do It on the Recession. Since then, I've had a couple more, you know, #1 Billboard albums that I produced on, and even prior to that, I was uploading content to YouTube, you know, tutorial videos, and then eventually that morphed into more music business insight. I work with BeatStars and provide content for them. I interview artists, producers, managers, lawyers. I try to provide as much helpful content for producers, because there's a lot of misinformation floating around there. A lot of people out here either unintentionally or intentionally trying to miseducate the producer community and convince us to shoot ourselves in the foot business-wise. But I just try to be a force of positivity and growth for my colleagues, which is all of you. Appreciate you tuning in. Looking forward to clearing up some of this, some of the misinformation campaign that the most recent misinformation campaign, I should say, right. Because there's been an assault on what many people consider internet producers over the last, really heavily, I'd say the last 4 months.
Sure.
Around the time that 2017 was ending, 2018 was beginning, and it really hasn't stopped. It's definitely going to get worse before it gets better, but I think that the community is really strong. You know, just seeing your the community that you interact with, seeing the Beat Club community, the BeatStars community, the Arabic community, there's strength in numbers, and I think we're hitting a boiling point where we don't have a choice but to change and evolve for the better. But in doing so, we're gonna all be on the same accord, because we want the same things. We want to be able to make our art and be respected and generate a livelihood from it.
Sure, and I think you touched on a lot of things that, for me, definitely touch home. I mean, the thing that I love about the most, excuse me, about the community in general is that everybody has different styles of getting the information to you. What I love about you, DJ Pain One, is that you don't sugarcoat it. You don't go around it. You say this is what it is. And if you are not awake and ready for this, you're gonna get screwed. I think that energy is necessary, and I think also too the other energy with what I feel like I bring, which is more so to you know, speak to the mental health of people and see what the thing is at the very root of the issue is. Producers say things all the time like, "Oh, I want to sell beats for a living." Okay, why do you want to sell beats for a living? And they'll give you all these grandiose stories about what they want, but really what it is they hate their job. And you know, some of those smaller issues can be taken care of, I mean, simply by changing your job. But then you get down to the heart of it. I want to do what I love for a living. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. But aside from that, man, you know, I'm thankful we crossed paths. I'm thankful that you brought me on to your platform to do an interview months ago. But you're spot on. I think that I started kind of getting a feeling and I don't know why I couldn't see it earlier. And I made a video about this, about how 2018, you know, they're coming for the internet producers. I saw it when that meme started circulating around where it had JD on the Breakfast Club, right? And he was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about, you know, about the payment situation of a particular beat for a producer. And the details are escaping me right now, but the thing that got my attention was the person who created the meme. Nobody ever pay attention to that person. They pay attention to JD, and they pay attention to the words that are on there, and they sort of run with it. I've seen a lot of platforms, even a lot of platforms I respect, that posted it up without even any question because they thought that it was something that was going to be beneficial for the producer community, not realizing that that was propaganda in itself to discourage people from doing what they're doing online. What is sort of what things have you seen, I should say, that have kind of tipped you off in the last 4 months to this stuff happening?
Well, I think that was the meme that you're referring to. That was a major piece of propaganda that really damaged the producer community on a psychological level and on an informational level, because number one, it was a complete lie. So the fact that people were spreading it, and these are producers that I look up to, like on Instagram, Digga shared it. So automatically that lends a degree of validity to that meme, which was completely false. Everything about that meme was false. Even I believe the producer JD was referring to disputed the fact that he sold the beat for, I think it was 300.
Right.
And we're referring to the Coco beat for OT Genesis, which I think went
that's what it was
2 or 3 times platinum. Yeah.
Right.
But what the meme said was, internet producers, if you sell a beat online, you're not entitled to royalties. If you actually listen to the full interview, that's absolutely not what Jermaine Dupri said
at all.
And he even backed me up by retweeting a tweet that said that.
That's
so
crazy.
It wasn't a matter of me just putting words in his mouth. No, the person who created the meme put words in his mouth, and whoever created the meme is like some PR company, and a lot of these PR companies are scammers anyway, and they're irrelevant because people are going direct for their PR. I mean, you got to be a damn good PR company to survive now. Yeah. So my guess is it was just some clickbait that they created because they figured it would scare people, and maybe in their minds they thought this is actually the truth, but they were reading between the lines, and they have absolutely no qualifications to do so. They're not an entertainment lawyer. Right. They're not a producer. They're not a producer manager. So the fact that so many, I don't mind that some people who don't know anything spread misinformation.
Right.
That's fine. But us as the producer community, spreading it is what let me down. That's what made me feel bad, because I'm thinking, damn, we've made so much progress. There's so much information out there. And the second this dumbass meme that doesn't even seem right, does it seem right that if you somehow selling a beat on the internet precludes a producer from any royalties?
That makes no sense at all.
Whereas if I sell it to you, on my front stoop, oh, then I get all the royalties in the world. But if I sell it on the internet, somehow that changes things. That doesn't even seem right. So instead of going to JD, instead of going to the media company that created the PR, because they're the meme, because they're tagged. So you go to their Instagram page and you see, oh, this is just some ridiculous. How many PR companies have Instagram profiles where they just post images that they take from other websites, just to get their numbers up? It looked like that kind of situation to me, and I might sound disrespectful now, but I don't care, because
it's needed, man.
Look, if I'm being disrespectful towards this bum ass media company, oops, that was disrespectful.
Right.
I don't care, because they disrespected the entire producer community. And here's the psychological element, because now you have producers believing that they can't sell beats on the internet without getting screwed, which is damaging to our collective psyche as producers. So many of us are finally finding independence by circumventing the traditional music industry channels. And you talk about this all the time, Curtis. You were talking about it yesterday.
Right.
The second we did the same thing. We did the label runs. We did all this stuff.
Right.
We got jerked. We got shit on. We got disrespected. We got our music stolen. We got our money stolen. We got our, they broke us down psychologically, told us we weren't shit, told us we needed them. And now suddenly here comes this new economy, the internet economy.
Right.
And initially I was resistant to it. You know, I was, you know, like the very first wave, like the MP3.com era.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't really into that. I wasn't really into the rock battle era. And
Right.
then the SoundClick era came along, and you had you know, the Superstar O's and the Johnny Giulianos.
Right.
I don't know. This seems kind of crazy. I just got a plaque on my wall, so let
Right.
me focus on the industry. I'm in a privileged position, and now I'm looking at it like, damn, if I had done that 10 years ago and just
Man.
taken it all into my own hands, looked at the industry people and said, if you want my beats, you can buy them. We can go through that process. But I
Right.
want to go direct. I want to control my own business. I have a nice house behind. I have a whole bunch of stuff right now,
Right.
my brand would be stronger, honestly. So
Yeah. Well, I
I
think,
respect.
not even to cut you off, but I think that you're hitting home at definitely what I was speaking of this morning, is that aside from all the things that come with this, the freedom, you know, and also as a man too, being able to say that, you know, if I'm going to eat shit, I'd rather eat it on my own terms.
Yeah,
Right? If I'm going to have to deal with, you know, the sacrifices and whatnot, I would rather not have to wait on somebody else tell me when I can get paid, tell me, you know, oh, this didn't clear, so this year that you've been waiting for this major placement to drop. I would rather that be on my own terms and my own dollar. And I know that's a lot for a lot of young producers to take in. So you're absolutely right about the psychological effects of a video like that. If you're already hesitant, you see that and you're like, okay, I'm scared to spend my money to invest in myself. I'm scared that I might not sell beats. I'm scared that I'll lose money. I'm scared. And on top of that, I'm not even going to get the money I'm due if something actually does happen. So that makes you scared of failure and scared of success at the same time. And there's nothing more, you know, there's nothing more paralyzing than being scared of success and being
yeah,
scared of failing. And so you do nothing at all. And I think a lot of producers fall into that. And so this propaganda ship that I had no idea was a PR company doesn't surprise me, because I know a lot of PR companies are behind, you know, rappers are no longer signing deals with, you know, they're not signing the Mindy deals, you know, the major label indie deals. Now they're signing
yeah,
deals with these, you know, sort of new modern PR companies, and these PR companies are pushing their brand all across the board and now pushing them into these label meetings on their behalf. So that doesn't surprise me, but it's happening, you know, it's happening. And then I think people need to understand, when you see these videos pop up, ask questions first before you go and share, before you know, it seems like a lot of producers that, you know, kind of position themselves as bosses and leaders, they're secretly scared. And you know what, DJ Payne, I had an epiphany this morning, and it was the first way I knew it, but I had to word it a certain way. And this was it, was that there's a lot of people in the music industry who are in leadership positions that are followers, and a lot of leaders who are in follower positions. So the ones that are in the leadership positions that are actually followers are making life hell for those who are true leaders, who are true visionaries, who have a vision of where things are going. And this is a blanketed statement, obviously, but it seems that they're the ones making it hell. But at the same time, the folks who are leaders in follower positions, they're making it hell in themselves. This business gives you an opportunity to go do that on your own terms. You can make whatever kind of music you want to make. Because I know DJ Payne One can give you stories of people that want you to make this sort of beat. Or I've had emails, major label emails, where they say, you know, T.I.'s looking for beats like this. Or this artist is looking for beats like this. And it's like, I don't want to make beats like that. I'm good at what I do. You know what I mean? And this gives you the opportunity to really do your own thing. But it is a very active propaganda moving forward. So let's talk about the Genius video, because I'm sure that that's really what brought us together. And I'm actually glad this bull happened, because look at how together the community is. I'm looking inside this room right now, and it's dope to see that it's 126 of you right now. I know it's gonna be people who'll be watching after the stream airs, but all the people that came out in support of the other article, which is it's so ironic, and it makes me feel like the conspiracy theorist in me wants to go another direction with it, because they dropped at the same time. But this Genius video drops where basically they're talking about type beat producers, right? And they're painting the picture that these type beat producers are uncreative, that, you know, they use this sort of as a desperation plea to try to get traffic to their websites and to their beats, and that they're using this to really get into the industry. right? Kind of just completely ignoring the fact that there are what I call producers who are out here who are using that the same way that Genius used the term type beats as a high-ranking SEO term to draw traffic in. The producers are doing the same thing by using Lil Uzi Vert type beat, right? It's the same exact ideology, same mindset, but they use that to basically, you know, shit on the online producer community, and then flip it around and use quotes from me and DJ Payne to defend it, as if we stand by that kind of stuff. So, initially, when you saw this video, what was your thoughts about it? Because you hit me with a DM, and you were one of the first people that actually saw I had a reaction to it. What were your thoughts, DJ Payne One?
Well, I had a reaction to it because I was actually contacted by Genius, and we spoke on the phone. So we, I thought we had a good conversation. He asked me some good questions. It seemed as though the particular journalist that interviewed me wanted to know more about the process of most internet producers, how they market their beats, and the dominant method for marketing their beats is the type beats label, whether it's labeling your beats after a mood, after a genre, or after a specific artist, or any number of artists. Then you know, that's what he wanted to learn more about. So he was asking me questions, you know, as to what my opinion was on, you know, the criticism that producers who label their beats as type beats, you know, are receiving. And I gave my opinion. We had a lengthy conversation, but what ended up happening when the video dropped was I got a very small quote. The vast majority, both of us got you know, about, right, I don't know, 2 seconds each. And up until then, it was literally an all-out assault on the credibility of type beat producers. And I shouldn't even call them type beat producers. All of us are just producers. You know, the Crates, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Absolutely. They have a stack of gold records that they just earned over the last couple of months. Wow. They make type beats. Concept P just went gold off of Kuda. He made a type beat. That was a Ludfo type beat, believe it or not, when Tekashi's people found it.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So these guys are producers. They just happen to know how to market their beats. Right. And the other thing that I had a problem with the Genius article is, what was the first line? It was something to the effect of, you know, this is an easy way for rappers to get in the game by mimicking someone else's style.
Yeah, from the jump, you're setting the wrong tone.
What are you talking about? This is an easy way for rappers to get in the game. Like, suddenly, rap it's just easy to make $1 million right now.
Right.
Out of nowhere. It's certainly not easy. How many rappers are? The thing is, there are millions of rappers now. I mean, there's so much content out there on YouTube, and 1% of 1% of them are getting anywhere. So already, it's like it's like a dog whistle to speak to the people who already hate type beats, and now you're saying, hey, look, we got these cut and paste cookie cutter rappers that are coming in to the game with no artistic credibility. They download a type beat. Next thing you know, they just made $2 million, and they clearly don't deserve it. And I don't know where that's coming from. They clearly have an agenda, right. And it's not just attacking the producers. It's attacking, you know, the artists that use those beats as well, which is crazy because a lot of people that they probably respect
found their beats through that. A$AP Rocky looks good.
Yeah. A$AP Rocky, Tekashi, they're gonna cover these dudes.
Come on now, but see, that's the thing about it, is that's what I not I don't want to cut you off or whatnot, but I was gonna say that, to me, just to kind of piggyback on that point, is that you have set the tone with your channel as Genius. You set the tone with your channel by saying, you know, we are going to be the platform that focuses on producers, even though you were first Rap Genius. Right. And then obviously when Complex, you know, bought you out or whatever what happened with that, and you became a Genius and rebranded and whatnot, things changed. So then you made a focus to be on the producer. As a matter of fact, I've had discussions with people that work up there. I've been to like even some of the Hollywood parties back in the day when they were first Rap Genius. So I'm familiar with some of the people that are there. Even when I put my production credits for Ab Soul, right? I put a behind the beat video. They were like, man, this is one of the greatest things we seen for a behind the beat video. You were creative about it. Super dope. Put it up there. They promoted it, all that good stuff. And so I thought that they were somebody that said, look, we are here about the community. We are here to build it up. So then they made these behind the beat videos. They showed you a lot of beats, they highlighted a lot of producers, which, if I'm going to talk bad about you, then I got to say some of the good that you've done. To me, that's a balanced attack. So it doesn't like I'm being biased, right? So I'm going to say that there was that factor that you brought in producers and you spotlighted them. Here's the issue I have, and this is the first question I would want to ask any producer that's been on that platform, that's done any kind of like behind the scenes videos. When's the last time you checked the revenue from one of them videos? Those videos garner a lot of views, a lot of engagement. How much money were you paid out from Genius? Or did they make it a situation where we're going to pay you an exposure? Okay, this is where I start to get to the heart of things. Like that transaction's none of my business. That's more so for the people who are involved with that. But when I saw that, and then I started seeing aside from that, the first video that popped up, the first thing that they started, in my opinion, borrowing material from my particular channel. You started borrowing material. You even use the same reference that I use. You guys saw that within a video that I made about, I forget the title of it, but it was a video where I basically highlighted where they stole the information and even the reference. I let that go. I unfollowed all that good stuff. Here we are today. Now you finally find my source, my video, and you finally put it up there, and then you go on the assault before you can big up the pillars of this community. And to me, it's just it's completely backwards. It's dangerous, but it's more so dangerous for Genius than it is the producer community. Because I think right now, you and I, DJ Payne, being on the stream right now, it shows you that no matter what platform we're using, people always ask me, oh, BeatStars or Airbit. I say, you got to go do your research and see what works for you. This was even when I was working for Airbit, I said that. Find what works for you. There's different benefits to whatever you're trying to go. Figure it out for yourself, first of all. And aside from that, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're making EDM. I don't care if you're making trap, R&B, hip hop, boom bap, lo-fi, whatever you want to call it. We are all part of this online producer community. We all go to the same resources. I go to DJ Payne to go, get some information about, anything having to do with the music industry terminology, right? I'll go to BusyWorks for some tutorials on FL Studio. This is all a community, regardless of how you feel about the figures. The information is there. That being said, we are going to outlast these companies that come up, because at the end of the day, they're a business. Us having a conversation right now was probably part of their business strategy. To them, they said, I hope there's such a conversation about it that people come to this video and watch it. But the problem is there's no longevity in it. Because once you producers out there, once you see past all of the circus and the theatrics that they're putting out there to get your attention and to basically turn industry producers against online producers, because that's the narrative they're pushing right now, as if you only can choose to go after placements or only can choose to do online beats. DJ Payne is literally the proof that you don't have to pick sides on that. You figure out what it is that you have a goal to do and you go out there and get it. But the sooner that producers like yourself out there start realizing the agenda that's at hand, you'll be able to you'll be able to see this stuff, and you won't even need DJ Payne and I to point it out for you. But it's important that we have these conversations and push forward with it. So, yeah, that particular video, man, like I said, they painted this fictional picture about basically like, and I'm not using their words because I saw this in another article where, once again, another media company tried to push an agenda forward. And they basically were saying stuff like, the online producer is a snotty-nosed, 17, 18-year-old who's basically selling beats from his mom's house trying to get some extra weed money. And it's like, how can you see the superstar?
Who said that?
Oh, man. I low-key don't want to out them because they've done some good since they got outed on that one. But when they said that, bro, I was just like, y'all cannot be more misinformed about this situation. But then I have to also say this too, brother. Like, a lot of them are still, it's so fresh to them that
Yeah.
they are having to, they're basically learning on the fly, which is, that's terrible to do from any kind of field. Like, I wouldn't go reporting on basketball had I not ever watched a game in my life. But they do this because they see that there's an opportunity. They see that topics are trending. They see that, you know, if I make a video about beat making, there's 70,000 searches a month when I look at my Google AdWord planner, right? Or my Google keyword planner. They see there's 70,000 searches a month for this term. Let's put this term out here, even if we're misinformed. Let's watch a few videos, throw a video, 3-minute video out there, piss some people off, get the engagement up. At the end of the day, we still walk away with YouTube revenue, right? So that's the mindset of a lot of them. But I don't know, man. Where do you see things going on from here? Because I'm asking honestly from a producer standpoint too, as much as it's a peer standpoint. I'm asking you too, because you have a lot of insight and a lot of foresight of where things go. Where do you think things are going from here?
Well, let me just say I have never bought weed in my life. As far as where things are going, I mean, and I don't know what the connection between Complex and Genius is. I know that they hired somebody from Complex who was a former employee of Complex to work for Genius I think as like the head of their content department or something.
Okay.
But Complex actually put out an article right before the end of 2017 where they listed the top 40 or 20 beats. Not beats, producers of the year who had the best years. Out of that list, something like 4 or 5 of them were type beat producers.
Wow.
So I mean, you know, Cash Money AP. Who else was on it? I mean, Cash Money AP. That's really all you need to say. You
Right.
know what
I mean, that's it.
So, and they're so you know they can't stop the blurring of lines between internet producers and industry producers. Granted, I would say years ago, you might be able to say, all right, Soul Eternity is an internet producer, Tone Jones is an internet producer, Timbaland is an industry producer. Nowadays, you can't even say that about, you know, the second or third wave. You can't even say Johnny Giuliano is an internet producer, Vibe is an internet producer, because they all had singles with major label artists. The first Wiz Khalifa single ever was produced by Johnny Giuliano, and I remember it vividly because I was working in radio at the time. And I recognized his name as a producer who was active on SoundClick, and I didn't know who Wiz Khalifa was. So that was dope that came through the Warner Brothers system, even though they didn't have a great deal, and you know he renegotiated with Atlantic after getting dropped from Warner Brothers. So those lines are not going to exist for much longer, and you have a lot of what people would consider industry producers transitioning over to the internet because of all of the reasons that we spoke of earlier. More independence, control over your schedule, direct money. You control your finances. You're getting money immediately. You're directly connected with the artist. You're not working through a third party. You know, because we artists like to work with other artists. We don't want to deal with someone in an office. We don't want to deal with a bureaucracy of, well, you got to talk to this department to get your check. You got to talk to this department with, you know, and look, there's nothing wrong with that. I did it. It didn't kill me. I love the experiences that I had with that. And I'm still obviously working with certain A&Rs and you know, certain industry with a capital I staff people. I'm in radio still. I'm shopping beats still. But a lot of us nowadays are seeing the benefit of in both. And very clearly, the industry doesn't care if you're selling your beats on the internet. For the longest time, a lot of us were concerned that we would damage our brands by having our beats available online. We would damage this and that. But really, there's no difference, honestly. I mean, granted, we might be selling a lease or an exclusive for 10%, 5% of what the industry would pay us. But the royalty system is the same. You know, nowadays with people blowing up overnight on YouTube and then eventually getting signed by the very same labels that we would try to shop the beats to anyway.
Right.
we can work with those artists and make the same amount of money. The only difference is the advance, really. So a lot of people overemphasize the advance, and back when I think maybe this was the first major assault on internet producers, back when Menace sold Designer that beat for Panda.
Yeah,
and Panda
I
became
remember that.
one of the biggest, the highest selling rap records of the last decade. You know what I mean? So it was a big deal. The story was he sold that beat for I think $200 or $300. Oh my God! How could you only make $200 off of a beat that sold millions and millions of copies? Wow, what an idiot! Well, here's the issue. He made
Break
a
it down
killing
for him,
off
please
the
do.
publishing because he owned the beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were so many people that thought the advance is all you got. And that's just ignorance, and I don't mean that in a bad way. If you don't know something, you're ignorant. If you choose to ignore information, then you're stupid.
Yeah, sure.
But if you're just ignorant, that's excusable because ignorance is an easy fix. You just got to do the research and then look into it and learn. And so that's why right away I interviewed Menace, because I just wanted to combat that myth that all he got off the track was $200-300, because I knew that wasn't the case.
Sure.
And he was posting pictures of him signing, publishing deals. I'm like, you produced a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know how many times platinum the record was.
Right.
No samples. You own half of that record. Theoretically, you should own half of that record, which means every time it's sold, you're getting your mechanicals. Every time it's played in any venue, that's radio, TV, a jukebox, streaming, he's getting money off. The elevators, he's getting money off of that.
Right.
And so this is the type of stuff that producers need to understand, because honestly, if Designer, well, I'll use a different example. If Jay-Z or Eminem came up to me and was like, Payne, I need some beats. You know what? Don't even pay me in advance, because I got to repay that advance anyway.
Yeah.
If you give me $5,000-10,000 for this beat, I'm gonna have to pay that $10,000 back out of my royalty account anyway, so that it's almost as though I know Eminem and Jay-Z are gonna sell enough for me to recoup that money.
It makes
so
sense.
I don't even care about the events. If you're an artist that probably isn't gonna sell to the point where I recoup the advance, yeah, give me the advance. But producers have to understand that advance is not even
a fraction.
When we're talking about a hit single, it's not even, it's the most negligible amount that you're gonna make if that record hits.
Right.
So selling a lease for $39.99 online versus selling a beat for $5,000 to Atlantic Records, might end up the exact same way if the song becomes a big hit.
And that's why those interviews that you do are so important. Because the general audience does not get that, not even audience, but the general producers don't get that narrative. All they see is the meme, and they go spread that misinformation somewhere else. They're like, man, did you hear that the producer only got paid $200 for that? And then to double down on that, they'll go see like a Complex article, and not to single them out, but they were one of the people who I remember reporting that, and really trying to dig through the information, but they put that out there, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's the new narrative. Every time you hear about this producer, oh, you're the one that produced that Panda beat, man. You only made $200 off of that. Then he has to clear that up everywhere he goes. And I think that's why it's important that, like I said, and I hate the term woke. I hate the term stay woke and all of that, right? And even though I've used it for a meme, but it's so important in these times to be aware that there are different agendas out there specifically to stop you and discourage you from pushing away from the system that is, right? For me, you got to understand, for me, just for the general audience, I had been pursuing placements for 10 years, and I got some placement. I got my Ab-Souls, I got the Kendricks, I got the Murs and the E40s, and it really, and I put that responsibility on myself, but I really wasn't getting paid for any placements until I met Murs. Right, Murs is one of them people because he was already independent. He was like, "Yo, we're gonna take care of it. Let's make it happen." My first placement that I actually got paid for was a Van skateboarding video. Right, Van skateboarding Downtown Showdown, and another one was a APB Reloaded online video game that was kind of like a Grand Theft Auto-esque type game. And so those are the ones that I actually paid. And so not to my 10th year till when I was looking at myself with a bunch of production credits to my name and more zeros in my bank account. right? Something had to change, and my car was breaking down. A bunch of stuff was happening around me that life had to change. And when I was introduced to this by my buddy, you know, my mentor in this, awesomebeats.com, like when I talked to him, he broke it down for me why he had been so quiet and why he stopped sending emails out to get placements, why he stopped doing that. I said, what is this other life about? And he introduced me to that, and it was the perfect timing. So now, as I am today, this is exactly the business that I am in now. Is branching off aside from just the selling beats online. That's where it starts, right? You can start your empire there, but now as we start to advance through, there's more things that come from this, right? There's the opportunity for professional speaking. There's the opportunity for selling sound design techniques, selling sound design, drum kits and whatnot. There's so many different streams of revenue that come from this, whether you're on YouTube, whatever the case may be. There's so many different types of streams of revenue, and you guys just have to understand that it starts here. But you got to start it. You got to be the one that starts it. But man, your time is valuable, brother, and I appreciate you being on here today, man. I don't know if you had any other things that you wanted to do. I didn't want to make this a long-winded one because I think we nailed the point on that one.
Yeah.
Of what
no,
it is.
think there's some look. So I took some notes because when I really dove into that article, there was just so much left out. And as you said, these are people who aren't producers. They don't understand the business at all. Even the smart people who are smart journalists, people tend to oversimplify the music industry, which is why these memes are so effective. A meme that says, if you're an internet producer, you don't get royalties because of this, Breakfast Club interview, which everyone completely misinterpreted. Because there couldn't be, there couldn't be more to it, right?
Right.
Just like how these articles tend to oversimplify what type beats are. They'll say, oh, type beats are an easy way. There's nothing easy about it. Absolutely not. And what blew my mind is I went to the A3C BeatStars seminars, and I was the moderator. So I was up there interviewing Cash Money AP, Dylan Graham,
right.
The Crates, Beat Demons, Dream Life. And then afterwards, I was in the sessions with them, and they were very honest. They're like, yes, I make X amount of thousands of dollars. I'm like, damn, you make 5 figures off this every month. You make 4 figures off this every month. That's a great number. How do you do it?
Right.
And I asked all of them independently, and they all gave me this, it wasn't just like, oh, I just upload beats. My beats are hot. People like them. It's no, I invest X amount of dollars, and it's a lot of money in advertisements every month. This is how I target. I'm really utilizing the pixels. I'm really targeting remarketing campaigns. My most valuable marketing tool is some people will say it's their Instagram. Some people will say it's their MailChimp, or there's another company that they use that's not MailChimp. But I remember DG told me I sell most of my beats through my mailing list.
Yeah.
I said, well, what's your formula for an effective mailing campaign? And he gave me some great advice, and it was to make the emails more conversational. And so I started doing that, and guess what? My engagement increased. So these are people, the top producers on the internet that make type beats are not just throwing type beats out there, throwing the type beat label on there and making a killing. And this is what bothered me so much about the Genius article. All they had to do was research it, but their proof that they use as evidence to prove their agenda, which is type beats are trash, uncreative, mimicry, so on and so forth, is just a quick little video of them searching for Drake, God's Plan type beat.
Right.
Now the beats that came up got a lot of traffic. Let me tell you, my YouTube traffic on my type beats right now went way down. I don't know what happened. They changed the algorithm.
Right.
I used to get 6-figure numbers on those beats. But guess what? My sales have increased by like 10.
Yeah.
So getting 100,000 views on one of my old type beat videos didn't really translate to many sales. And this is what bothered me, because they made it seem like these are the top type beats producers, the producers that are actually labeling their beats after specific songs.
Right.
So granted, that's going to probably make us, it not probably, it definitely makes us look bad, and it completely essentializes what internet producers do to that one thing. You know, they just make bullshit ass type beats that copy somebody's else's style, and they're making a killing off of it. Nuh-uh.
Right, because I mean, those producers exist. The ones that are unoriginal, that do that. That we have to acknowledge they exist, but that's not the narrative they're pushing. That is like the elites within this industry do that is a complete lie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was getting you right in the middle of your point too.
Yeah, no. So like, I think every producer starts by mimicking another producer's style, and that's just how it is.
Right.
Now, is that bad? No. When I first started, I was mimicking DJ Premier and Moment and RZA and stuff. And when I first heard Kanye West beats, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, where does he come up with it? He's the first one to ever speed up a sample like this." I'm like, "No, RZA's been doing this." Right. And then I read an interview where Kanye said, "Yeah, I got that from RZA." So I'm sure the first couple beats Kanye made that sounded way more like RZA. The difference was he didn't have the internet back then, so he might have been making RZA type beats. I think once you learn to take your influences, combine them all, and that comes with time and evolution, then you grow into your own, and you can still listen to a Kanye beat and say, yeah, I can hear some influence, but it still definitely sounds like him, just because he's perfected it and worked on it for so long.
Right.
So the difference is you have a lot of new producers that are able to sell their beats right off the bat. So I just don't think they know better at this point. That's fine. But let's be honest, they're not the top sellers. The top sellers online, and I'm going to say names, the top sellers are Mantra, Beat Plug. I wrote a damn list. Tone Jones, Juan Beatmaker, P-Dub,
right,
Taylor King, MJ Nichols, Young Taylor, OGE, Kato, Dream Life, Cash Money AP, Yondo. You know, there's each one of these producers, look each one of these producers up. They have a very specific sound. You know when a Cash Money AP beat is playing. You know what a Tone Jones beat sounds like. You know what a Johnny Giuliano beat sounds like.
Right.
And you can, because they have their own unique style, regardless of whether or not they label it type beats. Doesn't matter. You still know it's their style. Boy Wonder will definitely. The thing about someone like Boy Wonder, right, an industry producer, he makes the best Drake type beats ever. Why? Because he's a producer who works with Drake, and he knows exactly how to produce and compose a record so that it complements Drake's style. I have all these producers hitting me up. None of my beats are completely unique. These are not type beats.
Like,
are you making beats in some crazy time signature that we've never heard of?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Well, what if my beats are so unique that I can't label them? Well, maybe you should make experimental music, because if you literally, as a person who makes beats and produces music, if you literally can't hear any artist from any era over your beats, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. It's a big problem, and there's nothing uncreative about being a producer. Quincy Jones probably didn't, and maybe I shouldn't bring his name up, but he didn't jump in the studio with Michael Jackson and say, I don't care what Michael Jackson does. I'm just going to do something completely unique, because you have to capture his essence in the track that you're producing for him. You have to make sure his vocal range is being complemented. You have to make sure his pocket is there. You have to make sure that it makes people dance. It's very conscious.
Right.
It's not just, let's just make something totally weird. There's avant-garde experimental music out there that's completely weird. People love it. There's a great market for it. But if you're trying to sell beats for artists and make popular music, then you have to take into consideration a lot of factors in order to make the music good, and that's what a real producer does, beyond even beat making.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's part of your job, I feel like, as a producer, especially a producer that even if you have aspirations to go after placements, it's your job to have a palette that understands what the tempo and what the energy of today is. If you came into the game right now saying, I'm about to push these 1996 mid-tempo boom bap type of beats, now you're not, these A&Rs are going to now flag your email as, I'm not going to this, because you don't understand who you're sending to. You're almost deaf to whom you're sending it to. You're not taking into consideration. Here's the thing about it too, is that even the
but what's dope though, sorry to cut you off.
Ahead.
You good. If you made 1996 type boom bap beats, you could sell those online because people are looking for them.
That's the beauty. Because the thing about it is, when everybody else is doing, you know, a Little Yachty type beat, if you were the one that said Guru type beat, you could establish your own niche and make a killing for those people who are like, you know, 35, 36, 37 that are still rapping. And I don't mean still rapping in a disrespectful way. I mean still rapping in that they're doing it independently. They're going to come looking for you because they don't want to rap over these trap beats. So you have an opportunity because the internet is not just this small bubble that we sometimes feel like it is, because we see, I know a lot of, especially on YouTube, you see a lot of the same names within the comments. I'm sure people who are in here have commented on your video, so it kind of feels like a small community, but there's a lot of people who are not commenting. There's a lot of people who only come online to buy stuff, right? Their buying habits are, if I hear something I like, I'm going to go after it. There's been times where I was DJ Payne, like Payne, there've been times where I had a beat and I said, this is about to sell like hotcakes, and it's crickets. And then it'll be a beat that's been sitting on my page for 3 years that is the most like ode to boom bap that starts taking off like crazy. Now I have to shift my focus towards it. I tell you, one of my highest sellers about 5 months ago was a Snoop Dogg type beat. And you don't see those too often, but this was like a legitimate Death Row era Snoop Dogg beat. And what happened? Nobody's in the market for those in terms of producers, so I separate myself from the entire herd. You gotta be who you are, producers. You gotta embrace those differences that you have. If you don't like the music of the day, well then make the music that you like and find a modern twist to put on it. 2 other points I wanna make. One, to those producers who feel like my sound's way too original. Well, I hope you're sound designing every single kick, snare, hi-hat, every single 808, every single bass line, because truth be told, those sounds are being recycled by somebody right now. True, they're being utilized and filtered and reverb in a different way, but those same sounds are being recycled, so there's nothing original about your even the time signature. Like DJ Payne said, your time, change the time signature. If you're using a Lex Luger Snare 8, you're using the same Lex Luger Snare 8, and it's going to appeal to the same palette as it would. Third point I want to make is that even the folks who are submitting these beats out and they're against the type beat phenomenon, do you understand that you have to go through the same psychology that a producer who just exports a beat off of FL Studio, they say, who do I hear on this? Is the same psychology you have to do when you have an artist that says, yo, send me some beats. Say it's Kendrick. Yo, send me some beats. Now you got to go through your catalog and find the Kendrick type beats. It's literally the same thing, but because of the way it looks, because it looks like these guys are trying to get in the game in your perspective, because it looks like they're not really businessmen and businesswomen, you'll understand that these folks are a lot more, they got their business a lot more together than you think they do. And a lot of these folks, they build these multiple streams of income based upon this first one that they're presented with, which is selling beats online. Then it goes to other places. But, you know, I'm so glad that we had this conversation today, man. You know, and I look at you as a brother in this, man. And I know we don't talk often, but I'm so glad that we were able to come on here today, because I think people are going to go back to this video and see, you know, because all they get is my perspective on this channel. So to have your perspective on it and to see, like, you know what, it's not just Curtis talking crazy. You know, Payne is backing this up, and he has his own perspectives on this. It's very valuable, and I know the community is going to see this and understand, like, look, there's power where you're at right now. As you're making these beats, I always say it, when you export a beat, that's your real estate, right? When you make it out there available for leasing, that's your real estate. You're now basically assessing tenants to your real estate. So from there, push your business as forward, do your best to research not just other producers, but other small businesses, because that's what you are as well. But, yeah. I see you going in right now. Somebody, I know. I see that question
people want, yeah. So I think he asked the Sarah J question a couple times. Nothing has changed since since I made the video, just explaining why I don't work with Sarah J, which, you know, in a nutshell is simply because if there's a manager out there that doesn't provide you with legal resources, that doesn't provide you with managerial services such as negotiations, such as ways to increase your revenue, ways to protect yourself. And if that manager is trying to build their own brand above yours, then that's not a manager. That's something else, and that's something dangerous to get involved in. You can all make your own decisions. I I told the story about how Sarah J enabled Youngberg to create a third-party furnishing organization to effectively buy a beat that he ended up selling to Epic, pretending that it was his. And Sarah J encouraged me to move forward on providing him with the tools to do so. So I don't really, I don't encourage anyone to work with her, but I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do.
Right. But it's important that this information gets out there. At the end of the day, producers, you got to dissect even what we're saying. You got to dissect it for yourself and see how it makes sense. But I tell you, there's a reason why, you know, those that are part of this community are able to, just like that, on a moment's notice. We talked about this stream yesterday, and here we are today having this discussion because it's obviously something that we're very passionate about. Just be on the lookout, producers. I think I'm going to end it there, but be on the lookout. Understand that the information that you're getting is never absolute, and there's things that you should go research on your own because it may or may not appeal to you. I even give you the flip side. The leasing business, as DJ Payne once said earlier, can be very expensive, especially initially when you're setting it up. It's going to require you being okay with risking a lot of money, even money that might be your rent money. That's what I had to do. I had to risk it with hopes that somebody would buy my beats. I lost a lot of money in the beginning, but I lost money on my own dime, and that helped me along the way. So that being said, when I got over that fear, it made me a better businessman, made me a better man, and I basically weathered the storm. And I wish the same thing for you. However, what I have to stop doing this year is stop trying to get people who are not entrepreneurs by nature or don't want to be entrepreneurs, trying to force you into this. That was my problem in the past, and that's why I'm trying to switch that up now, is that this may not be for you. But if you do desire your freedom, if you do desire to make music whenever you want, if you do desire to not have to worry about answering to anybody, then this is something that's worth looking into. It's worth doing your research, your due diligence on it. There's more than enough information out there for you, but everybody's not built for it. But it's out there, it's here. And you gotta understand that with the internet and the way that it is now, that's where things are shifting to. That's why your television shows are shifting onto the internet. This is not just the music industry. Your television shows are shifting to YouTube. Your movies are shifting to YouTube. It used to be Redbox, now it's gonna be YouTube. You know, in terms of just the way people consume movies and whatnot. So notice the differences around you, the changes that are occurring, and just be prepared for it as it goes. Did you have any last words that you want to go ahead and share with the audience, man? Thank you once again for this, brother.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, don't thank me yet, because I need to have you on B Club. I need to have you on my channel again. So
I'm there.
So it won't be it won't be an uneven exchange. But yeah, shout out to everyone who's tuning in. We had a couple hundred people tuned in. Had a good conversation. I hope this helps. But you know, just seriously, don't get discouraged by any of this. Don't let the saturation factor discourage you. Don't let these memes discourage you. Don't let people online who you really can't vouch for, even people you can vouch for, discourage you from pursuing a livelihood through music. Double check your facts. Become a lifelong learner. Make music because you love making music, and as long as you keep your head straight and your nose to the grind, you'll be good.
Okay, you heard it. You heard it from the man himself, and I gladly will join you on the channel and whatnot. Just let me know. So thank you once again, DJ Payne One, for joining us. Everybody that's been in here, thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna put that in the message actually. Do your research. You already know. Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com. Y'all have a good one. Peace.